Look around you. Can you feel it? A profound silence is settling over our sacred spaces. The pulpits, once vibrant with spiritual guidance, are increasingly empty. This isn't just a trend. It's a heartbreaking exodus, a silent departure of those called to lead. Pastors, our spiritual shepherds, are walking away in unprecedented numbers. Some retire early, their spirits broken. Others switch careers entirely, seeking solace and sustainability elsewhere. Many simply leave, utterly exhausted and disillusioned. The question before us, urgent and deeply unsettling, is this: why are our churches losing their leaders at such a critical moment in history? The statistics are stark, painting a grim picture of a crisis accelerating with alarming speed. Thousands of dedicated pastors are resigning every single year, leaving behind congregations grappling with uncertainty. This isn't confined to any single denomination or size. From the smallest rural chapels to bustling megachurches, the leadership gaps are widening, threatening the very foundation of our faith communities. This isn't merely about numbers, it's about the profound loss of spiritual anchors. When a pastor leaves, we don't just lose an administrator, we lose a mentor, a compassionate counselor, a tireless advocate, and a pillar of moral strength. These individuals have often been the very backbone of our towns and cities, guiding generations through life's joys and sorrows. The reasons for their departure are complex, reaching far beyond the Sunday sermon. For pastors and church leaders, this reality demands immediate attention. We must acknowledge the gravity of this situation, not just as an abstract problem, but as a direct threat to the spiritual health and future of our congregations. Seminarians, prepare yourselves for a ministry landscape unlike any before, one that requires immense resilience and a deep understanding of these systemic pressures. Community members, recognize that the strength of your local church directly impacts the well-being of your entire community. Pastoral work is not merely a profession, it is an all-consuming calling, demanding an extraordinary level of dedication and sacrifice. Pastors are expected to be everything to everyone: profound theologians, skilled counselors, dynamic teachers, meticulous administrators, and compassionate caregivers. They navigate complex congregational dynamics, manage staff, develop programs, and tirelessly guide entire communities, all while carrying the immense weight of spiritual responsibility on their shoulders. This relentless pressure is unsustainable. Burnout is not just a buzzword in ministry, it is a devastating epidemic, silently eroding the health and spirit of our leaders. The constant demands, the emotional labor, and the often unrealistic expectations create an environment ripe for exhaustion. Consequently, mental health struggles among pastors, anxiety, depression, and even suicidal ideation are rising at an alarming rate, often hidden behind a facade of spiritual strength. We must understand that in many, far too many cases, pastors are not abandoning their calling due to theological disagreements or a loss of faith. They are leaving because they simply cannot sustain the relentless, crushing pressure any longer. Their personal lives suffer profoundly. Marriages strain, children feel neglected, and their own physical and mental health deteriorates. The church, in turn, loses a leader whose wisdom and experience are irreplaceable, leaving a void that is difficult, if not impossible, to fill. For pastors experiencing this, know that you are not alone, and your struggles are valid. To church leaders, it is our sacred duty to create environments that prioritize the well-being of our clergy. This means providing tangible mental health support, access to professional counseling, and fostering a culture where vulnerability is seen as strength, not weakness. Seminarians, learn to build boundaries and cultivate self-care practices now, for they will be your lifeline. Community members, offer grace and understanding. Your pastor is human, not superhuman. In recent years, the sacred space of the church has become an unwilling battleground in America's increasingly polarized culture wars. This politicization has made pastoral work exponentially more challenging, transforming spiritual leadership into a perilous tightrope walk. Pastors find themselves under immense pressure from all sides, expected to take definitive stances on highly divisive political and social issues. This often places them in direct conflict with significant portions of their own congregations, tearing at the very fabric of unity. The expectation to align with specific political ideologies, whether from the left or the right, forces pastors into an impossible position. What was once a sanctuary for spiritual growth and communal worship now often feels like a political arena. This shift fundamentally distorts the pastor's primary calling: to preach the gospel, nurture souls, and foster reconciliation. The constant demand to choose sides creates deep rifts, alienating congregants and isolating leaders. Some pastors, overwhelmed by the incessant conflict and the erosion of their spiritual authority, choose to leave ministry altogether, seeking peace away from the political fray. Others, who attempt to navigate these treacherous waters, often find themselves embroiled in bitter clashes with congregants whose political convictions overshadow their spiritual commitments. What was once a profound spiritual calling centered on eternal truths has tragically devolved into a precarious political tightrope walk. One misstep, one perceived misalliance, and their ministry can be irrevocably damaged or even ended. This situation demands a serious, empathetic response from all of us. Pastors, you must discern wisely how to address societal issues through a gospel lens without becoming partisan figures. Church leaders, it is imperative to protect your clergy from undue political pressure, reminding congregations that the church's primary allegiance is to Christ, not to any political party. Seminarians, prepare to lead with prophetic courage and pastoral sensitivity, understanding the deep divisions you will face. Community members, remember that the church's mission transcends politics. Support your pastor in fostering unity, not division. Beyond the emotional and political pressures, a stark economic reality contributes significantly to the pastor exodus. Financial struggles are a pervasive and often unspoken reason why many dedicated leaders are forced to leave their ministries. Pastors, particularly those serving smaller congregations or in economically challenged areas, are frequently overworked and severely underpaid. The romanticized notion of ministry often overshadows the practical need for a living wage and adequate benefits. Many pastors find themselves working 2 or even 3 additional jobs simply to make ends meet, to provide for their families, and to pay off seminary debt. This constant struggle for financial stability diverts their energy and focus from their primary calling, leading to exhaustion and resentment. Without proper financial support, adequate housing, health insurance, and retirement planning, the sustainability of pastoral leadership becomes utterly impossible. This is not just an inconvenience. It is a profound injustice that undermines the very foundation of ministry. Furthermore, the lack of robust mentorship programs, professional development opportunities, and clear succession planning exacerbates the problem. When a pastor leaves, especially in smaller churches, the congregation often struggles immensely to recover. The absence of a clear path forward, both for the departing leader and for the remaining flock, can lead to prolonged instability. Some churches, unable to find a suitable replacement or to navigate the transition, ultimately close their doors, becoming another casualty of the exodus. This is an urgent call to action for church leaders and community members. We must reevaluate how we financially support our pastors, ensuring they are compensated fairly and provided with the resources necessary to thrive, not just survive. Seminarians advocate for fair compensation and sustainable ministry models. Community members, understand that your financial contributions directly impact your pastor's ability to serve effectively. Let us honor those who labor tirelessly in preaching and teaching, ensuring they are worthy of double honor, not double burden. The pastor exodus is further complicated by significant generational shifts within our congregations, creating new layers of tension and misunderstanding. Younger congregants, often raised in a rapidly changing world, are increasingly questioning and even rejecting traditional church cultures, structures, and modes of worship. This leaves many pastors feeling unheard, misunderstood, and at times irrelevant, struggling to connect with a generation that speaks a different spiritual language. Simultaneously, older congregants often hold deep attachments to established traditions and leadership styles, expecting their pastors to maintain familiar practices. This creates an immense pressure on pastors who find themselves caught in the middle, attempting to bridge a widening chasm between differing expectations and spiritual expressions. The divide between these generations continues to grow, leaving pastors feeling trapped and isolated, unable to fully satisfy either group. This generational tension is not merely a matter of preference. It reflects fundamental differences in worldview, communication styles, and approaches to faith. Pastors are tasked with the impossible mission of simultaneously preserving cherished traditions while innovating to engage new generations. This constant negotiation, often without adequate training or support, contributes significantly to their exhaustion and sense of ineffectiveness. The emotional toll of feeling perpetually stuck between conflicting demands is immense. To address this, pastors must be equipped with skills in intergenerational communication and conflict resolution. Church leaders, you have a critical role in fostering dialogue and understanding between different age groups, creating spaces where all voices are valued. Seminarians, embrace the challenge of leading diverse congregations, learning to adapt your ministry without compromising core truths. Community members, practice patience and empathy, recognizing that the church is a multi-generational family, requiring mutual respect and a willingness to grow together. The pastor exodus is not an isolated problem. Its ripple effects extend far beyond the church walls, profoundly impacting entire communities. As pastors depart and congregations shrink, the vibrant lifeblood of local churches begins to diminish. Outreach programs, which often serve as vital lifelines for the vulnerable, food banks, homeless shelters, youth mentorship, and mental health support initiatives are increasingly falling apart due to a lack of leadership and resources. The moral guidance, spiritual counsel, and compassionate presence that churches have provided for decades are slowly disappearing from towns and cities that have depended on them. This creates a deepening void, leaving communities without a central hub for spiritual reflection, ethical discourse, and collective action. The absence of strong pastoral leadership weakens the social fabric, eroding the sense of community and shared purpose that churches often foster. Over time, as more churches close their doors or struggle to maintain their ministries, the very identity of these communities begins to shift. The loss of these spiritual anchors can lead to increased social isolation, a decline in volunteerism, and a weakening of the collective moral compass. The pastor exodus is a warning sign, signaling a profound societal shift that demands our immediate and collective attention. The health of our churches is inextricably linked to the health of our communities. This is an urgent call to action for every pastor, church leader, seminarian, and community member. We must recognize the profound impact of this crisis on the spiritual, social, and emotional well-being of our neighborhoods. Let us commit to strengthening our churches, not just for our own spiritual benefit, but for the flourishing of our entire community. The pastor exodus is a stark, undeniable warning. It signals that our churches, the very heart of our communities, are struggling under immense pressure. This struggle is not a failure of faith itself, but a consequence of the unsustainable burdens placed upon those called to lead. It is a crisis born of burnout, political polarization, financial strain, and generational divides. We cannot afford to ignore it any longer. To every pastor feeling the weight of this calling, you are seen, you are valued, and your struggles are real. Seek support, set boundaries, and remember that your well-being is essential for your ministry. Do not suffer in silence. Reach out for mental health resources and peer support. To every church leader, the responsibility to care for your shepherds is paramount. Create sustainable ministry models, ensure fair compensation, provide robust mental health support, and protect your clergy from undue political pressures. Foster a culture of grace, empathy, and genuine care within your leadership teams. Invest in mentorship and professional development. To every seminarian, prepare yourselves not just for theological depth, but for the practical realities and profound challenges of ministry. Cultivate resilience, build strong support networks, and learn to advocate for sustainable practices. Understand the landscape you are entering and be equipped to lead with wisdom and compassion. To every community member, your role is vital. Support your pastors, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. Offer grace, understanding, and practical assistance. Engage actively in your church, not just as a consumer, but as a co-laborer. Advocate for the well-being of your spiritual leaders, for their strength is your community's strength. This is not merely a problem for the church. It is a challenge for society. If we fail to support our pastors, this exodus will continue, and with it, the very heart of American faith and community will weaken. Let us rise to this challenge with urgency, empathy, and a renewed commitment to nurturing those who shepherd our souls. This is the Scholar's Ledger, where history, faith, and power are revealed. Subscribe, share this critical message, and join us in the urgent work of supporting our spiritual leaders and strengthening our communities. Let us act now before the silence becomes deafening.